The bag of Kingsford in your garage right now is 30% limestone, coal dust, borax, and sawdust. Not as a figure of speech, not as an exaggeration. Clorox's own safety data sheet lists the composition, and buried at the bottom, one line reads that 70 to 90% of the mixture consists of ingredients of unknown toxicity. That is on the manufacturer's own document. And Kingsford is not even the worst one. The industry nobody questions. The charcoal aisle at Home Depot looks like a competitive market. Kingsford, Royal Oak, Embers, Expert Grill, Cowboy. Different bags, different logos, slightly different prices. The factories are not different. Two corporations control the majority of the American charcoal market. Kingsford is owned by Clorox, the bleach company. Royal Oak is controlled by Mariposa Capital and Rourke Capital, a private equity structure that recently closed an $862 million acquisition of a commercial sweetener company. The charcoal in a backyard grill and the sugar packets at a roadside diner now sit under the same private equity umbrella. These companies are not run by pitmasters. They are run by portfolio managers optimizing for cost per unit. And the formula in every briquette on that shelf reflects that priority directly. But the consolidation is only the beginning. The real story is what is inside the bag. Point 1. The Kingsford Formula. A peer-reviewed study published in Fuels in 2022 reverse-engineered the Kingsford recipe using the company's own patent filings. The breakdown is 70% wood char, 9% fossil coal, actual coal, the kind extracted from the ground, 15% limestone, 5% sawdust, and 1% borax, a chemical the European Union classified as a substance of very high concern for reproductive toxicity. For every 20-pound bag carried to the truck at Lowe's, approximately 6 pounds of it is not wood. It is rock, coal, and industrial chemicals pressed into a pillow shape and sold as fuel for cooking food. Independent burn tests confirm what the formula predicts. Kingsford Original leaves behind roughly 21% ash by weight. 1 out of every 5 pounds burned turns to gray powder in the grill. That powder is calcium oxide from the limestone. The limestone is not in the formula to improve cooking performance. It is there to turn white at a predictable temperature so the buyer believes the coals are ready. That is not a cooking feature. That is a visual indicator engineered into every briquette to reduce customer service complaints. The cook is paying for rock to tell them when the wood is ready. Royal Oak's customer service told a user on a barbecue forum in writing that the classic briquette consists of hardwood char, coal, and other proprietary ingredients. The company does not recommend using the classic briquette in a smoker. The manufacturer warned a customer not to use the product in a smoker. No explanation followed. Independent testing filled in what the company would not say. A full chimney burn test showed Royal Oak Classic producing 32% ash by weight. Almost a third of the bag turned to powder. That is 50% more ash than Kingsford from the same volume of charcoal. The testing conclusion was straightforward. Royal Oak Classic likely contains significantly more coal than Kingsford. The company will not confirm the coal content because the formula is proprietary. A product where the manufacturer will not disclose what is in it and actively warns buyers not to use it in a smoker is not a cooking product. It is a pressed industrial commodity in a bag designed to resemble a cooking product. Point 3. Kingsford Match Light. Match Light takes everything in the original formula and adds petroleum distillates, hydro-treated light, kerosene soaked into every briquette before packaging. The bag itself carries a combustible warning. The instructions state do not add match light once a fire has been lit. Use regular Kingsford instead. Kingsford is warning buyers that their own product is too chemically volatile to add to an existing fire. That warning is printed on a product sold for cooking food outdoors. The price per pound of match light runs higher than the original. The buyer is paying more for coal, limestone, borax, and lighter fluid compressed together and sold as a convenience product. The convenience is real. The chemistry going into the food environment above those briquettes is also real. Point 4. The house brand deception. Embers is the house brand at Home Depot. Expert Grill is the house brand at Walmart. Both carry retail pricing that implies independent manufacturing and independent quality standards. Embers is manufactured by Royal Oak. Expert Grill uses the same Coal Plus binder template from the same manufacturing playbook. Different logo, different shelf, different price point. Same factory origin. Same ash pile in the grill at the end of the cook. 3 of the most visible charcoal brands in American retail, Royal Oak, Embers, and Expert Grill, trace back to the same manufacturing operation controlled by private equity. The buyer standing in the aisle choosing between them believes they are comparing competing products. They are choosing between different labels on the same decision. Point 5. The no-name bag. The generic imported briquettes sold at gas stations, dollar stores, and online marketplaces represent the lowest tier of the charcoal market. A peer-reviewed study published in Science of the Total Environment tested 74 commercial charcoal brands under laboratory conditions. The findings: some products contained up to 26.6% impurities by volume. A companion study found up to 37.9%. The contaminants identified included coal, industrial coke, metals, sand, plastic, and glass. There was actual glass in charcoal sold for cooking food. None of it violates a single American law, because there is no FDA or USDA safety review requirement for charcoal. The regulatory framework most buyers assume exists does not exist. Any manufacturer can put any combination of materials into a charcoal bag, press it into briquettes, and sell it at any American retailer without submitting to any independent safety review. The no-name bag at the gas station is not an outlier. It is the logical endpoint of an industry operating without oversight. The historical contrast. Before the commercial briquette industry consolidated around the Kingsford formula in the mid-20th century, charcoal was one ingredient. Wood was heated in the absence of oxygen until the moisture and volatile compounds burned off, leaving behind almost pure carbon. That carbon burned hot, burned clean, and left behind a small pile of white ash that was almost entirely the mineral content of the original wood, including calcium, potassium, and trace minerals. Nothing added. Nothing pressed in. The briquette format was invented for convenience and economy, not for cooking performance. The convenience was real. Coal, limestone, and borax were added because they were cheap, because they extended the burn time on paper, and because the white ash color made buyers feel the product was performing. The buyer is paying for a product optimized for shelf appeal and cost reduction that happens to produce enough heat to cook food. A product optimized for cooking food looks completely different. Before buying any charcoal product, one number reveals everything the marketing obscures. Ash percentage by weight after a full burn. Pure hardwood lump charcoal with no additives produces between 2 and 5% ash by weight. The ash is mineral content from the wood itself: calcium, potassium, trace minerals. Nothing else burned because nothing else was in the charcoal. Kingsford. Original produces 21% ash. The extra 16 to 19% above pure wood ash is the limestone, coal, and binders burning to powder in the grill. Royal Oak. Classic produces 32% ash. Nearly a third of every bag bought at the store becomes gray dust at the bottom of the firebox. Generic imported briquettes in independent testing have produced ash percentages above 40%. 40 cents of every dollar spent on those products bought material that never produced heat and never cooked food. It went straight to the ash pan. The ash percentage is not listed on the bag. The manufacturer knows the number. The decision not to print it is not an oversight. The only two brands worth buying. The pure charcoal market is smaller than it should be. Single-ingredient hardwood charcoal at commercial scale is genuinely rare because the margins are thinner than the briquette formula and the production process is less forgiving. Two brands have maintained the standard consistently enough to recommend without qualification. Jealous Devil. One ingredient. Quebracho Blanco hardwood from Paraguay. The name translates to axe breaker, a reference to the density of the wood. No coal, no borax, no limestone, no petroleum distillates. The Naked Whiz, the most respected independent lump charcoal testing database in the United States, rated Jealous Devil recommended, with low ash production and a maximum temperature of 997 degrees Fahrenheit. A 20-pound bag runs approximately $25 at Home Depot. That is $1.25 per pound. Kingsford runs 68 cents per pound. Subtract the 6 pounds of filler in every 20-pound Kingsford bag, and the real cost of Kingsford's wood content is 97 cents per pound. The difference between pure hardwood and coal plus rock is 28 cents per pound. Jealous Devil burns hotter, leaves less ash, and contains nothing that was not a tree. The price difference per cook is less than $1. Rockwood is 100% Missouri hardwood. Oak, hickory, cherry, maple, and pecan, sourced from Ozarks timber mill leftover slabs, wood that would otherwise be industrial waste. Rockwood has held the #1 consumer ranking on the Naked Whiz database for over 10 years. The bag is recyclable craft paper printed with soy-based ink. Competition cooks and Kamado owners have used Rockwood as their reference standard for a decade. At approximately $2 per pound, Rockwood is the most expensive option on this list. The burn rate is lower than briquettes because pure hardwood lump burns more completely. The effective cost per cook hour is competitive with Kingsford once the ash difference is factored into the calculation. A grill running on Rockwood is running on fuel. A grill running on Kingsford is running on fuel mixed with rock and coal. The pattern: Kingsford, Royal Oak, Embers, Expert Grill, generic imports. Every brand on the avoid list shares one characteristic. The formula was designed around cost reduction, not cooking performance. Coal extends burn time on paper at a fraction of the cost of wood. Limestone produces visual whitening that signals readiness to the buyer. Borax acts as a binder that holds the briquette shape through shipping and handling. None of those ingredients are in the bag because they make food taste better. Jealous Devil and Rockwood share one characteristic, one ingredient: wood. Everything in the bag produces heat. Nothing in the bag produces ash beyond the mineral content of the original tree. The ash percentage is the only number that matters. Every bag of charcoal on every shelf in America can be evaluated by one question: what percentage of this product becomes ash that never cooked anything? For Kingsford, the answer is 21%. For Royal Oak Classic, the answer is 32%. For pure hardwood lump, the answer is 2 to 5%. The difference is what the buyer is paying for. Before the next bag of charcoal goes into the cart, check the ash percentage. If the manufacturer will not publish it, the formula is the reason why. If the video changed what goes in the grill, subscribe, drop a like, and tell me in the comments what charcoal you have been using and whether you are making the switch.